When we were at the conference, especially the first time, all the teenagers were grouped together and they were walking in this great big pod going off towards this opening night barbecue. And this mother came up to me and I'm looking at them, I'm behind them, and she says, "Isn't it wonderful to see a crowd of kids and you can't find yours?" Because they were all tall, and it was just it was incredibly normal and wonderful.
This is an unabashed advertisement for the National Marfan Foundation and the conference that is held annually.
It's awesome.
Because what happened with Micah is Micah was isolated. He was the only Marfan kid in the whole world in his mind. And it didn't define who he was, but he knew it was a part of him. But he didn't accept it as part of him. It was like, oh, I just feel so bad about this. So, first time we got him to go to a National Marfan Foundation conference, he walked through the door and here were all these tall people, like him. And with the same sort of facial features and the skeletal stuff, and people who have the same sorts of symptoms with their hearts. And it was like, these are my cousins. I'm related to these people in some way. And these are part of my family. And that was just an amazing transformation in his acceptance of having Marfans and his acceptance of the Marfan community and being a part of the Marfan community.
I never would have guessed that there were so many people at the Marfan meetings who were going through the same things that we were, in our family, and even me individually. And you look around at all, like you said, you're all kind of related when you're there.
Before, Micah didn't know anybody, and he didn't want to know anybody.
Yeah.
So our first conference, we flew to Seattle, him and I. Fred and our other son didn't come, and he wouldn't even stay in the hotel.
Yeah.
We had this agreement. We'd stay somewhere else, and you'd go to what you could go to. And we are active in a lot of peer support. And it's a pretty common phenomenon. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go and they don't want to meet anybody. By the time he left, he had such a good time. He came back to his father and his brother and said, "Well, now you need to go," Yeah. And so we all decided to go. After the second conference, our older son went, and he came back and said, "I think I understand Micah."
There you go.
And what happened for us when we first started going to the conference, there were not very many kids. And now when you go to the conference, there are a ton of younger children, families, teenagers. I mean, there's like 100 teenagers running around. And the NMF has raised this group of kids, young adults I should say now, that advocate for themselves, are teaching the other kids, are helping them lead successful lives in all aspects. Mm-hmm. They are helping them manage their medical condition, advocate for themselves medically, know questions to ask, know that they can ask those questions, and everything from where do I buy long pants, because they all want to know clothing, to can I really participate in these sports or these activities, or whatever kids do on Facebook or whatever they're doing. And it's a family unit. And I really think the NMF has raised an amazing group of people that are going to keep advocating for the condition all over.
I was reluctant to get involved in the National Marfan Foundation. My brother had told me about it, and I had met, the people who run it, and I loved them. I thought they were great. Every step I took towards accepting Marfans turned out to be a positive step, but I went there with dread and fear, and that's just the issue of unknown. The thing you should be most afraid of and have the most dread about is what's unknown. And the more you know, the less dread you have in your life. So when I went to the conference with this unreasonable sense of reluctance, I went there and I immediately relaxed. Immediately. I felt friendship, I felt inclusion, I didn't feel alone, I felt, more hopeful. It's sort of like, when you go to the doctor, nobody wants to go to the doctor, but once you go to the doctor, heck, they make you feel better, or they can, I don't know why. It is a phenomenon that many parents experience, or many people who have Marfan's experience, and as long as you know that that's just a phenomenon and it's not reality, that to go to these places, go to the conferences, go read about it, go and talk to the doctors about it, go get that heart fixed, go get the eyes fixed, get it done, get it done, get it done. You feel better. But it's just that I've performed on stage practically my whole life. I always call it the lethal 10 minutes. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 10 hours, it could be 10 seconds, but there's always one point before the curtain goes up where you just feel awful. And you don't want to go out there. And it's one of the things I love the best is the theater. You can't, it's in my blood. And yet here I am, I have a hard time. But once that curtain goes, I have a hard time getting on the stage. But once the curtain goes up, I'm free. And I feel great. And I know what to do. I do my lines, I sing my songs, I dance my dances, and I know exactly what to do. And it's the same way with Marfan's. It's once I get to the conference, I know exactly what to do. Once I get to the doctor will give me my script and my dialogue and my choreography, and then I know what to do. I'll do what this is. Or once I read about it, once I meet a mother, once I meet people who run the Marfan Foundation, they're friendly people. They're not going to take advantage of me. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. All those scenarios, or that I think of or don't think of, they don't happen. And I think what happens is when you get a diagnosis like this, you start to lose faith, and you start to stop. You stop trusting life, and that is a hole that it's mandatory that you get out of.